So speaking of censorship, I was simultaneously banned on all three platforms at the same time. So those of you who don't think that the wheel of censorship is being ratcheted up into overdrive, think again. How did I get censored on all three platforms at once? I'm still suspended on Twitter. So what did I get banned on Twitter for? For using the word artard, retard. My appeal is still being heard. More than 5 weeks later, it still hasn't been looked at, even though I've notified them that I will not be removing the tweet as I have the option to do. Obviously, it was done via artificial intelligence. With Facebook, I was removed because Jordan Peterson has stated in the past that many people would have been soldiers of the Nazis rather than Oskar Schindler saving the Jews. And I was illustrating, and I wrote something how people become Nazi soldiers, taking a policeman and enforcing a law against free speech, against a MAGA hat wearer, and whether or not he would be doing the same if it was a BLM hat, because obviously there are different repercussions for doing so. I appealed. Did they look at the appeal? No. It took a week before I was able to post again, but on other aspects of Facebook, I'm still blocked. They told me when I appealed that they don't have the time to take a look at the appeal. So once again, artificial intelligence. With YouTube, I was concurrently suspended for 2 weeks, a second strike. By the way, join me on rumble.com. Dump all these non-free speech platforms and at least move over to a smaller public square that does allow greater amounts of speech. YouTube suspended me for medical misinformation. I barely said anything about it. I'm not going to repeat what I said because that would be the third strike, but obviously there are different standards that YouTube has. The thing is, all this was done via artificial intelligence. The only people that even took a look at my appeal were YouTube. Of course, the trolls at YouTube, the demons that work there, did not accept my appeal, even though what I said was not contentious based on medical information. Regardless, all this is being done by artificial intelligence. And this is the power being centralized in the hands of very few people who get to decide the rules for public discourse and engagement as we increasingly move to online public squares. And this is what I have a huge problem with because there are only a few select people, all of the same political persuasion, who are deciding what is and what is not allowed. The fact that I got suspended on all three within 1 week of each other, and I could not post anywhere, and I still can't post on Twitter, is because, hey, they have algorithmically decided what's acceptable. Again, power in the hands of a few. What you are able to say online is being decided by a select group of elites that get to make the final stamp as to what is approved. If I can't even say the word retard on Twitter referring to somebody because it's hurtful or whatever else, but other people can go off on Donald Trump, is obviously we all know about the hypocrisy. But the thing to take away from this is that, once again, few people get to decide for everybody else. That is a centralization of power. This is what happens under communism, rather than a decentralized system like Bitcoin, like we had in the United States. At least that was the general ethos, that we are all entitled to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. The most famous words from the Declaration of Independence as written by Thomas Jefferson, that we are all allowed to go about the road ourselves, but now a few people get to decide what you can say. So, once again, join me on rumble.com because I don't believe that YouTube will allow my channel to exist for much longer. Many people feel the same way. And Facebook, Twitter, all these are symptomatic of the oppressive times that we are living in, where the left is demagoguing and decreeing what is tolerable, what is and what is not allowed. Of course, you can immediately point to the fact that when right-wingers protest the lockdowns and say, give us our liberty back, that is deemed a health hazard. But when many people, thousands of people, pack squares, often en masse for Black Lives Matter, this is a response worthy of applause by the same health officials, because racism is a public health crisis according to them. And this is what we're headed to, this dystopian future where if you are on one side of the political aisle, you are favored. If you're not, you're a second-class citizen. The same thing with the vaccine passport. Dare to question such a thing. And of course, you are going to get axed from the channels, because this is what they're increasingly ratcheting up, what you are allowed to do. And I'm for freedom. So if you're for freedom, once again, for the third time, rumble.com, and thumb up the video, share it so that people understand what we are being faced with, and have a fantastic day. Peace out.